And the zoom, that's the zoom on top.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, kind of caught me off guard here. I have to leave before 3, 30 minutes. So you have to convert them up to an hour or kind of just walk around. Let me go grab my copy here.
Let's meander over to the toilet. Somebody come back and look at that. It's a pretty high-end store.
Yeah.
Patrick, do you want to use the microphone on? Because I can have, it's close to my waist. I just have a waist level.
Yeah, but then, are you gonna wear it?
Yeah, I'll wear it.
Okay.
Or do you want to wear that microphone and I'll wear the receiver?
Well, yeah, we could do that too. Oh God. You know, the thing about camera stuff is it's black.
Yeah.
Like Rodney and I are trying to read the print on those things. I can't. Can you figure this out? Oh, there we go. We're trying to read the print, and unless we have our glasses on, we can't tell.
Hi everyone. My name is David. Hey David.
So David, this is a green building class at City College.
Awesome. You guys usually work with my colleague Dan, right? Older gentleman, just in the back.
We've worked with different people over the years, but yeah. And so we're interested in
Toilets, flow rates.
yeah, and you know, sustainable things,
Sure thing.
which you always have a lot of. Now, what's the legal maximum or minimum flow rate in a toilet now?
So that's 1.28 gallons per flush, but there's ways that you could have a dual flush at 1.6, which was the old flow rate. 1.28 is the new flow rate. So if you get a 1.6 for a big flush and then a 0.9 for a little flush, that averages out. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
But even though you would consider, like, you're probably going to use the little flush more than the big flush.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, so that's
Oh, so I learned that
one technicality.
because I was telling people that because the rate's so low now that the dual flush doesn't have any purpose anymore, but they're lowering the low flush rate.
Exactly.
Oh, great. Okay.
Right, so that's kind of one of the options of having a dual flush. There's even more, like for commercial settings, offices and things like that, where you get 1 gallon per minute. They've now figured out a way to make a solid flush at 1 gallon. And what I mean by a solid flush is that's actually a third party that rates grams of flushability. It's called MAP toilet testing. They do like sausage casings and soybean paste and the whole thing to figure out, like, is this going to eliminate enough waste? And so 1,000 grams is over 2 pounds, so that's like the highest score achievable. You've got other problems if you need something else stronger than that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so 1.28. There's other things about like what makes one toilet better than another, as far as like bowl face clean and all that kind of thing. But ultimately, the way they're rated is for how much waste can they eliminate, and that typically has to do with the siphon jet right here. This basically pushes everything back up and over the track that you can't see in this installation, because this is what they call concealed, versus this is what they call a skirted, versus like that one way back there into the slats. That's a traditional toilet where you can see the drain pipe going into the ground.
Yeah.
So that's called a siphon jet. It pushes everything out and up and over. And you have usually 30% of the power of this tank, right? Gravity flush. 30% of that 1.28 gallon is in the siphon jet. The rest of it is coming out of these little perforations in the rim and washing the bowl. But some people have different ideas about how to get that bowl cleaned or how to get all of the waste out.
Right.
So instead of having little perforations, they'll make them come out of one side, kind of like a penny machine at the museum. They were just kind of rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls. Those get really good flush rates. Sometimes manufacturers will invert those ratios and they'll have a 70% siphon jet power kick and only 30% water. washing the bowl.
And that doesn't need an electrical assist, that's just gravity, that's
Gravity.
just the water flow and gravity?
Exactly. And
Wow.
so ultimately all we care about as far as recommending or selling it is the flow rate, that we're California compliant, and two, that we are at least hitting that perfect score, which is 1,000 grams. So like there's videos of that toilet in the back over there sucking down wiffle balls and all kinds of crazy stuff. Sometimes it's overkill. But anyway, there's another type of toilet that has an insulated bladder, and those are the ones that are very low flow, but because they're using so little water, they need to have a pressurized system to help it kick all that waste out. And those are the ones that have the really loud flush, you know. Typically you only see them like office, commercial settings. That's called a bladder tank.
So one of the things that when they started making them less flow was, it used to be you would fill up with a lot of water,
Yeah.
and then the waste would go in that water and it wouldn't stick to the bowl so much, right?
Right. So maybe there's a better place to see this right over here. There's what they call trapway.
Oh yeah.
A trapway and a water spot. So notice how small that hole is versus how large that hole is versus how low that hole is. So this, you can imagine water just sitting here. It's going to have a low water spot, that's called.
Yeah.
Also, the trapway is somewhat small. So basically what that's going to do is leave all this face dry and, you know, more prone to streaking in that idea.
Right.
Whereas over here, because it's much more shallow, the water spot's actually going to sit nice and high and have very little surface area that's dry and able to be spackled, let's call it. This one you can see is got the cyclone type where the water comes out from one side.
Yeah.
So does this one.
Wow.
Again, many flush technologies and flush valves, and they can call it whatever they want, but as long as you have 1,000 MAP rating, that's what we're looking for.
Oh, okay. Wow.
This is a German manufacturer, so this is sort of why they have that really unique look and shape. They're actually excellent, but as far as performance, getting that waste removed, but again, it's the face clean that like nobody ever really talks about. That you should probably. That's also important.
I know. And these are all dual flush?
So not all of them.
These two, yeah.
These happen to be these over here on this side.
Yeah.
So then you've got your and this is the kind of the rub when it comes to these dual flush. I don't even know. I've been doing this for 6 years. I don't even know which one of these buttons is the big flush and which one is the little flush. Like I guess you would logically say that the big button is the big flush.
Yes.
Right? But would you use the big button more than the little button? Who knows?
No, I think it is. I've got one of those, and I think it's the smaller area button that's
Is
the
a
low
small.
flush. Yeah.
So that'd be the 0.9 and
Yeah.
then
No,
the
it is
0.6.
confusing now.
Yeah.
And some of them, when you push the big one, the little one goes down
Yes.
with it, right?
Right. So that would mean, I would imagine, the full flush.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? But it's tough to say. Some of them are trip lever dual flush also. So like that one over here, that's got a trip lever. Sometimes it'd be front for little and then back for big. There's that idea too.
So,
These are all bidet seats. So
Yeah.
the seat is separate from the bowl, and basically, this is a standard toilet with one of these tops built into the seat. Same thing here. This is a standard toilet with a $500 seat, standard toilet with a $1,200 seat. Yeah. So what makes that thing $1,200 and this one $500? This one auto opens and closes and auto flushes, auto deodorizes, has a nightlight, and has continuous hot water in the seat and in the washing you part.
Wow.
As over here, this is not going to have continuous hot water, so it's just going to wash you for a time and then get back to cold. So they're both going to clean you. It's just that is a lot easier to use.
So we're going to talk about these when we go to my house, because I have one of these with the bidet seat too, and we'll go all through that. And we'll talk about composting toilets too at that time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any other toilet question? Oh, rough
Well, those are
valves,
great looking
outlets.
toilets, I have to say.
So then the other thing to know about toilets is they have different roughs. So like from the wall to the ground, you can have an outlet or a drain where all this waste is going to go out. It's either 12 inches, 10 inches, or 14 inches off of your finished wall. That's what you'll need to know when you're kicking the toilet. Standard is 12, but I feel like especially in the residential space that I work in, it's the one time I don't ask these people that they have the weird size, and now we're in trouble because their toilet is like this far off the wall, or now it won't even fit into the wall, right? So
My house was built in the 60s and it's like 10 inches off the wall.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it just sort of depends, and you always want to check on that.
Yeah.
Any other toilet questions? Oh, I know. Well, since I got you, there's a distinction among these where you've got a Toto here, you got Dervitt here, I got Kohler on this side, American Standard. Usually when I'm recommending toilets, it's all based on like which one do you think is pretty or whatever. And then like, yeah, okay, I like that one. It has a perfect flush rate. That's a good choice. But there's also something to be said about these two brands, Dervitt and Toto, that they put zinc in their porcelain enameling process, because this is just ceramic porcelain enamel. They put zinc in it, so it's actually antimicrobial. It'll kill germs. Pretty cool. And then Toto has whatever they call style Biontech, or whatever that proprietary technology is. They bake it into the porcelain so it's extra smooth and won't hold on to things, right? Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Great.
Wall hung toilets are another type of toilets.
Right.
These are all floor mounted. So whether it's floor mounted with a gravity tank or these are doing the same thing as all of these bidet seats, but notice how there's no tank. So this works on a bladderized system. These are great, but they're expensive because they're like $3,000 and up. Like the best one I think is like $15,000, and it self cleans itself, self sterilizes with UV and all that. Anyway, these are a good idea because they actually only use like 0.9 gallons for each flush, right? Because it works on a bladder system, so highly efficient. It'll move all the waste, no problem. And to me, it's difficult to recommend these because you still have a regular toilet over here. So if you lost power, you're going to have one preloaded flush in there, and then what, right? Over here, this is still a standard toilet. So if this thing, crapped out, no pun intended. The pun wasn't intended. The pun was intended. Okay, so then you can still flush it without having to worry about the electricity.
Right.
So that's kind of why I really like this one over here.
Yeah.
This is like my favorite toilet because it's really simple looking. It doesn't have a lot of details or decoration.
Is that a Toto?
It is, and it can homogenize into lots of like styles and stuff. But really, it has one of the best flush rates, right? That you can get 1,000 MAP, and then that toilet seat is pretty much this whole unit in a seat. It's actually really nice and sleek.
What about shower? Do you have a shower display over there? No, not
We
anymore.
used to that. Somebody's desk is there now. Yeah.
So what is the code? Do you know the code for all these things? So what is the
Yes.
code for a shower?
So a shower
heads?
head is 1.8 gallons per minute.
What was the toilet?
1.28.
2.8. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 1.28. So if you imagine it was 1.6 down to 1.28, I think it was like a 25% savings of water. This doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. So then with the flow rates, when I started like 6 years ago, it was 2.5, and then 2.0, and then 1.8, and then manufacturers are like, we're just gonna start making 1.5s, like the way you're headed. Or some manufacturers are even like, you're just one state, California, there's 50 other states we're gonna sell to you, we're not gonna play your game. So we're in kind of a hot mess when it comes to like outdoor showers and stuff made out of stainless steel, because California has 3 separate hula hoops you have to jump through to sell here. One's low lead compliancy, one's flow rate compliancy, and then the third is like just kind of paying mafia of California to sell in our state, and that's registered with the California Energy Commission. So anything that passes energy, water, gas, electricity, has to then be registered with the state of California as being low lead compliant and flow rate compliant. So yeah, we're in kind of a difficult spot there.
So what are those
Restrictors?
What do those feel like? Is it a dramatic?
Yeah, so that's about 20%.
Yeah.
10% down.
So-
So 2.5 to 2.0.
So then they're going to redesign them to make them feel more powerful?
Right, so now we're at the point where people don't want to get a head that is larger than about 8 inches in diameter, because it's all surface area game. So like the hand shower, a little hand shower behind you there, that little wand, that is pushing the one that's attached to the bar, or either one of them, yes. So that has the same exact flow rate as the shower head, or a manhole cover size rain head, or whatever you want. It's all pushing the same amount of water, so it becomes a surface area game where the larger the head, the more diffused the pressure is going to be. So out of that little hand shower, that's going to come out with needles, and you probably want like a volume control as opposed to being like, I can only go full blast. But that's the game, is So we'll dial in the diameter, the surface area. Typically I find people are really comfortable with about 8 inches in size if they're wanting to do this rain style, which is nice, I guess. But maybe sometimes people don't want the rain style.
So but the rain style is less, it's softer, right?
Yeah,
That's the whole idea.
because it's supposed to
Mimic
envelop you
rain,
more,
right?
so in a larger surface area, it's going to feel
Okay.
more diffused like rain. But
Okay.
then you're going to complain if you need to get something out of your hair, and then you're going to need a smaller surface area or more pressure. So some of these manufacturers are doing, smart technology things like adding air induction catalysts to their shower heads, where it siphons air off from the outside and induces it into the water, so that it comes out with more force. Same flow rate, but it's pelting you now, right? So it's like a hand shower. If you were to hold it up, it might come out here, but then with the air, it's going to come out to here, right? And basically, same amount of water, it's just got air behind it, so it's hitting you harder. Or what they'll do is they'll minimize the number of orifices. Orifi? You guys are in school. All right. So however many holes, right, they'll just maybe make less holes so that the streams are coming out harder, as opposed to having lots of perforations where it's going to be very diffused.
So the air pressure one,
Yeah.
that's not, again, a non-electrical assist, that's just the
Nope,
design of the,
mechanical. Yeah.
okay.
So
Interesting.
as far as then shower heads, they have technology to them, like this air catalyst thing. It sounds a little gimmicky and